Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories. I'm not dead, not yet. I probably will be, but who knows. Anyway, welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us again this week as our guest, the person who quite scarily accurately predicted the coming of 9th edition exactly 1 year ago today, surprisingly enough. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back WarGamerGirl.
Hello, thanks for having me. Don't expect the same sort of amazing predictions today.
Yeah, unfortunately you're about 2 episodes late for the Warhammer Fest predictors, but
oh, good.
It is good to have you back on the show. It has been, as Remleiz said, a year, and welcome back as well to Remleiz as well. I know many of you missed him last week, and it's good to have you back. And thank you again to Narina for stepping in and holding the fort with me last episode.
And hopefully your microphone won't die this time like last time.
Did my mic die last time?
Well, last time we had Miranda on, we actually, your microphone kept going...
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I'm going to take your word for it because I've forgotten.
You completely forgot. I think you surely moved into your new place then, didn't you? I think.
No, anyway. I didn't. I wouldn't move for another 2 months, but yeah, fair enough. Either way, hopefully no issues today.
So, in the news this week... I don't know what you talked about last week, so I haven't had a chance to watch it back, so what can we go through?
Well, there isn't a lot. I think a lot of us are still obviously hung over from the glut of reveals that was Warhammer Fest. But there has still been a few bits and bobs. Most notably, really, it's been stuff outside of the games. So, for example, the new Dark Imperium novel Godblight went on pre-order this weekend and disappeared very, very quickly.
The limited edition did, yes, in 1 minute.
Goodness.
And
1 minute before, 4 minutes before it actually went live on the actual main site.
And we also got the first full gameplay showcase for Total War Warhammer 3 with its new Chaos Realm Invasion mode, survival mode or something, I've forgotten its name, where you get the giant ice bear battering a bloodthirster.
Nice, that sounds fun.
Giant
Are you
elemental
both?
bears.
You guys both pretty big fans of the Total War series?
I mean, I've never played the games because I don't have a PC or the time to hack it. But I enjoy watching like Let's Plays of it and things like that. And I really did enjoy all the stuff that they did for Total War Warhammer 2 in particular, because I have picked up a rather large elf bias, as people have noticed. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really. But yeah, I think it's a really cool amount of stuff. In terms of the gameplay stuff, I wouldn't be in a position to comment, but it looks pretty. I can say that much.
Fair
My
enough.
machine can't even run it.
Yeah, I don't think mine can either.
My machine barely runs Dawn of War. It's a potato.
The new Dawn of War? Because that one was a fun disappointment.
No, the original. It barely runs
Oh,
that.
goodness, family.
Like, even on the lowest graphical setting, it still chugs. Like, I tried playing Dawn of War 2, like the Chaos Rising expansion, and yeah, when you get to that bit when you're fighting Ulker, my frame rate literally dropped to single digits. On the lowest graphical setting, it dropped to, like, 1 frame.
Oh my. Well, you can just put in all your orders and know that things are hopefully happening still, so at least it's not as if you're interacting live. But really, man, you need to update that PC.
I know, I've been looking around.
Yeah, that is an impressive amount of chug.
Fortunately, COVID times is probably the worst time to be building a new PC with all the supply line issues. I think graphic cards have become a black market item at this point.
Black market graphic cards.
We're getting there. Which might be the case with a lot of these Warhammer models that you guys are describing, given the ridiculous sellout rates. You think that they would address that a little bit by now. I think they just do it on purpose anymore.
Well, the models generally don't sell out all that quickly, with a few notable exceptions. Yes, I'm aware. It's normally the books that go quite quickly. If you're wanting to get anything special book-wise, like a limited edition codex or especially a limited edition novel, Siege of Terror, they do go in a bit of a hurry. And I think GW knows it.
Well, then, silly question here. Do they not offer electronic versions of that book? Are there no PDFs?
Oh, they do. There are EPUBs and things like that, but obviously limited edition. There's no point in having a limited edition EPUB.
Right.
So the limited edition hardbacks, as Rem mentioned, go in minutes. I'm trying to think the last time a limited edition release made it a day. It's probably been quite a while.
Wow.
I think the last one that was a day was oh god, what was it? It was the limited edition for the second book in the Heresian War stories. What's it called? Not Resurrection, Reincarnation.
Yeah, I wanted to say Divination, but I knew I'd be wrong.
I think Divination is the third book, the anthology.
Ah, okay, fair enough. I'm not entirely wrong then.
But that hasn't got a limited edition yet. Which is weird, because Incarnation got a Reincarnation, whatever it was called. It got a limited edition a year after the original was released, which is a bit weird. I always find that weird when they release a limited edition a good year after the standard one's been out.
Yeah, that is a bit odd.
Because normally it's at the same time or before.
Yeah. But in terms of other pre-orders, the Soulblight Gravelords are out. The first wave is on shelves and in people's hands, and the second wave is now on pre-order alongside the new codex for the Adeptus Mechanicus, which has been due for a while. They revealed it a fair while ago now, and it's finally on its way out.
I just also want to point out, speaking about the Soulblight Gravelords, you know what else they put out this week, or they're putting out this week, don't you? The bad guys from Cursed City.
Yeah, this is what I was going to mention earlier. So, Radakar the Beast is the one in Soulblight Gravelords. Radakar the Wolf and Radakar's Court are now available as pre-orders this week for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, if you want the evil half of Warhammer Crest Cursed City to supplement your Soulblight army, which is
costs
fine.
about as much as the entire box set.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that they got the models out quickly. That's something that boxed game models have a history of not being good at. Looking at you, Arc Revenant and Abhorrent Arc Regent, you were months on the shelf before you got released. They were black market items, getting your hands on one of those. But it does come at a cost, literally, in that it costs to get Radakar and his courts costs about as much as buying Cursed City itself.
But probably less than finding Cursed City on eBay.
Yes it is, but still not good.
Well, I mean, as long as people are willing to pay it, then I guess that's, I don't know, man. We've complained about price hikes with GW forever, and then we go buy their models. So at some point, it's what are you going to do?
Touche.
Very true. And the other release that there was this week was the Stc Brushes. Now, I've not picked one of these up. These are the synthetic fiber brushes, which are designed to be a bit more tanky in terms of damage and things like that. So I don't really know enough about them to know how much of an improvement they are, but I might give a look to getting one of particularly the small layer brushes, because mine have a tendency to wear out a bit quicker than I'd like. So might give one of these a go.
I've had pretty good luck with the general synthetic, the synthetic Kalinsky stuff. So, I mean, here's hoping.
Oh, and speaking of stuff that was available previously only in games, the Heavy Intercessors and Flayers from that Kill Team box are also available for pre-order as well, separately.
Yep, as well as, I believe, the new Cryptek and the Captain that was included with Kill Team as well, as I understand it.
Yes. Yeah, the Chronomancer, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, Chronomancer, which is a form of Cryptek. Yep. So, if you want any of the flayed ones or other contents of Kill Team, they are now available for you, if you are willing to stump up, looking at you Heavy Intercessors in particular. But
40 fucking quid.
Yep, but they are there, which is a thing.
They do look beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, those Chronomancer dudes do look really cool.
With his magic box.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I realised this is the puzzle from Hellraiser.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the flayed ones, too. I love that model design.
However, if you are hungry for more Necrons, then you might be interested. Admittedly, you've only got a couple of days left. This is a UK thing. With the relaxing of COVID regulations in the UK, GW stores have reopened for business, and there are two unique models currently available. A Necron called Camotep the Crooked, and a Stormcast Eternal by the name of Silas Beastbane. However, they will only be available until the 30th of May, which is the Sunday after this episode goes out, and you have to go to a Warhammer store in the UK to get one.
Or go on eBay.
Or go on eBay, yes.
Black market.
I did see, though I can't find the article, that US people will also be getting some exclusive miniatures soon as well. I'm trying to find the article. There it is. It's to do with the upcoming US tournaments, the Warhammer Open events. So these will be in Orlando in mid-August, in New Orleans in October, and in Austin, Texas in November, which will also have a couple of exclusive miniatures as well. An aspiring champion of chaos. And for 40k, another Necron, actually, a Necron Lord this time, Hasmotep the Resplendent. So, UK crowd, you've got about 4 days. US crowd, you've got a few months to prepare and see if you can get yourself
What has he got on his head?
Didn't even get
What the fuck is that?
I didn't even get the promo finish. Yes, the Necron Lord has a rather interesting headdress. I will give it that. It's a nice model, though.
Oh yeah, it just stands out when it's painted in Space Wolf grey compared to the rest of the model, which is metallic in bronzes and silvers and stuff. Just really stands out.
Yeah, we'll see if it has any in-game applications. It might just be Necron Lord is massive eccentric nerd, wears fancy hat. It probably is, to be honest.
Tied a water bottle to his head.
What's the Chaos one? That one with a really awesome shield going on?
Yeah, the Chaos Champion. She's got a massive horn out of one half of her head, a flowing mane of hair down the other side, a whack-off mace that would make anyone jealous and or intimidated and or both, and a really cool leering demonic-style shield on her back as well. It's a really impressive miniature.
Oh, yeah. It was really cool. And you can see, I guess, one of the horns is broken on her head, so she would have had two otherwise.
Yes, I didn't spot that. Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that mace she's holding, my Warcraft character has. Anyway, moving on. Sisters of Battle!
Yes, Ram has posted a "Can I copy your homework" meme relating the Sisters of Battle chaplain character, whose name I've forgotten, to
Dogmata, I think. Wasn't it Dogmata?
Dogmata sounds right. Comparing the two of them because they both got the same standing, looking, empowered pose with a giant whack-off mace held exactly the same way. So, can I copy your homework a bit?
Appropriate.
Very much. But yes, so tournaments in America, and they haven't talked about it here, the sort of grand finale that will be available in, I think it was LA or San Fran, I forget which, top of my head. But there is a fourth one that's going to be happening in America at some point. So look forward to that.
Fair enough.
Reveals wise, we're kind of stalling for time at the moment because there's a reveal stream happening right now and we want to wait until it's over to talk about it. But we got a new reveal for Blood Bowl and one for Necromunda as well. Necromunda, we got.
Did you talk about Zogrod last episode?
Yes, he was in the Warhammer Fest pile. Yes, we did.
Damn.
But we did get to see a new model, Lady Credo. Oh. I don't know if that name means anything to you, Ram.
Noblewoman bounty hunter, looks like.
Yeah, it says here she's one of the noble lords. Doesn't take much to fall out with the Imperial House or for an entire great house to fall. So we don't know what happened to her in the Spire, and frankly, it's above your pay grade to care. She's very armed, has a massive bounty on her head, but Helmer is very clear, yada, yada, yada. Okay.
Let's be honest, whatever she did, it couldn't be any worse than what Mad Donna did. There's a reason why Donna Ulanti was called Mad Donna.
And not just because Warhammer was making references.
I was just about to say.
I mean, let's put it this way, when she was arranged to get married to another nobleman, and when they were having dinner, she casually reached over with a fish fork and started gouging out his eyes, just randomly, started mutilating his face with a pair of forks, and then when guards came, it was like, what's going on? started shooting them, took a chainsaw, started carving people up, flayed people, and then fled in the underhive. It's like, ooh, okay. Bit nutty. Oh, and she also ripped out one of her own eyes when a bartender told her she was good looking.
Oh.
So you think I'm good looking? Rip out my eye? How about now? It's like, you crazy. Don't stick your dick in crazy. As the saying goes.
Well, I always thought there was like a inverse proportion to that for dudes, as far as like crazy hot scale or whatever. So is she hot? That's the question.
Depends if you like psychopaths, I suppose.
So 50-50.
So no in that case.
I dig her heels.
Your mileage may vary. Anyway.
But speaking of crazy, Blood Bowl is receiving a new star player, Frankenstein, which is not spelled Frankenstein, which is a new player who was sent into a berserk frenzy after being hit by lightning, killing 4 players, a referee, and scores of bystanders. But after his hugely popular Cabal Vision commercials for Lightning Aid electrolyte drinks, fans put down their pitchforks, and now he plays for whoever can pay him the most.
Fair enough.
I love him. I'm ordering him right now.
And it's quite nice that actually they are 2 players, Franklin Smith and Steiner Scottwood, Frank and Stein. So
someone says GW's going, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get the reference? Poke, poke, poke.
Yeah, pretty much.
When I see him with his giant fist, I just keep thinking of that one joke from The Simpsons. You know, I am tired about these jokes about my giant hand. The first occurred in 1953 when...
Wow.
No one else remembers that joke? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I probably haven't watched The Simpsons in nearly a decade.
I never watched The Simpsons at all, really.
You missed the golden age. The golden age of The Simpsons. That was quite a thing back in the 90s. You know,
Yeah, it's about its highlight.
because back in the 90s, I was part of a very famous TV show. As the saying goes. That was a BoJack reference for anyone wondering.
Yep, too young.
How the hell are you too young for BoJack?
Or
That
maybe
was a
it's just
Netflix
something...
show.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
See, I think of BoJack Horseman like being a really old thing.
No, it's not that old. The joke is that he was a character from a 90s TV show who basically got old and cynical. It's like, hey, I'm still kind of famous, but no one wants me because I'm old, kind of thing.
Huh.
It's a good show, though. You should check it out. Even if the second to last episode is mighty depressing.
Duly noted. Duly noted.
Like, seriously, prepare yourself before watching that one episode. Otherwise, it will fuck you up.
Okay. Speaking of things that will mess you up, let's jump across to something old, that being the Horus Heresy, as we got 2... That was a really nice segue, I'm proud of that one. We got 2 new Praetor models, this time for the Imperial Fists, one in Tartarus Terminator armour and one in Power armour, and they look really, 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 really nice.
I can also see some good conversion opportunities here as well, because they got the Templar Cross as well, so... You can use them as, like in a Black Templar's army for modern day 40k and just say they're wearing, like, Artificer armour or something, or as a relic or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly the Terminator armoured one, you could really get away with that. But you might need to scrape off the 7 off of the Iron Halo to do it. But yeah, absolutely. I think...
Just say 7th Company, and you'll be fine. No.
Of the 2, I think the one in Power Armor is missing something in that left hand, because the sword is not a 2-handed blade. It's not a great sword. It's only a 1-handed grip. So what's that second hand for? Their pistol? I'm assuming it's for their pistol, but it just looks empty, like it should have something in or on it.
Like he should be holding a gun.
He's reaching for your wallet.
There you go. He's the official GW mascot.
It kind of looks like he's going in for like a shoulder tackle of some kind, but the momentum of the legs is all wrong.
Yeah, he's way off balance for that, huh?
Maybe he's trying to push someone out the way. So get
Or
out the way.
he's
I'm trying to kill
falling.
this guy.
I mean, he could literally be tripping in that pose.
The fallen of the Emperor's finest. Whoop. There you go.
Hey, we all trip. But they are very cool looking models. I always love looking at the studio stuff because, of course, they make it amazing. Do you think they ever Photoshop tweak it?
They might do. Just to, make it look just a little bit more photogenic,
Extra.
shall we say.
Well, you can't go wrong with Space Marines. They are literally the poster child of everything 40k.
That's true. Though I remember that... I'll try and remember what model it was. I think it was that limited edition Sister of Battle model from ages ago. The one that was based off the novel artwork.
Canoness
the one with the leg up.
Viridian.
No, not that one. Was it Candace? The one that was based off the Faith and Fire
Yeah.
artwork. Like,
No, not the early edition one. What, second edition?
No. Hang on. We'll see if I can get.
Yeah, because I can only think of the one that was based on that old artwork. That Canoness. I can't think of any other one that you're thinking about.
Yeah, okay, I found it.
There's one that's sitting on a platform. Or standing.
It was standing on the platform. Yeah, this one. The one that was based off the novel artwork.
Oh, that one, the original one.
Yeah, because someone pointed out, if you look at how some of the texture on the gun is, it actually looks like it's actually a 3D printed model.
I can't say I know enough about 3D printing to be able to comment yay or nay on that one.
So I think with some of them, I think they might they'll maybe upscale some of them just so they can look better in stock photos.
It's
Potentially.
possible. Yeah. I mean, if they've got the STL files, you can do a resin print of that, and there's a lot of ways to cover up those lines. If that's the case, I can't say I'm necessarily, I see what you're talking about in the gun with those horizontal lines. But that's not exactly how that would print, They would be more level, generally, unless it was in pieces. So, I don't know. I mean,
it's just a rumor. It's not confirmed, Robbie. It's just a rumor.
Sure.
That some people.
That is a cool looking model. I actually have that one. Actually, all these new Sister Battle models looked really cool. Like the reveals from last year were so, quite frankly, unimpressive. I'm really excited to see models that kind of look cool again. Like the Celestian models are just on point, and of course, I feel like they really embraced the idea of power loaders for them this year, and I'm just all in on that.
Oh, the Nundums.
Mm-hmm.
Complete with High Lord of Terror.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Our second High Lord of Terror model.
Morven Vale. So she's apparently supposed to stand toe-to-toe with, Abaddon and...
I think her standing is supposed to match Abaddon, not her stat line. As far as I read it, her standing is about Abaddon's, not her stat line.
Or her status, as opposed to stats. That's going to be a little bit hard. Because these are all really cool models. It's just, Sisters of Battle can be a little bit squishy when they finally get out on the tabletop. But I'm hoping with them running around in the, what are the name of those suits they're running around in? If that's
Paragons.
Paragons. So that should put them up a strength, right? They would no longer be strength 3. They should be strength 4, maybe more. What do you think?
Given their full-blown... Given their full-blown war suits, I would think they're probably up at about strength 5 or 6.
Up that high? Because they're saying it can compete with a Dreadnought.
Oh, Dreadnoughts... there's been a couple of editions since I've seen one, but a Dreadnought was strength 6 base back in the day.
Ooh, here's hoping.
I can see them being at least strength... At the very least strength 4, but maybe 5.
Yeah,
I just don't know that
5.
they'd go up that high. Yeah, I could see 5, but that would probably be on the high end. It would be disappointing if it was only 4, but, we're running around with toughness and strength 3 all the time, so...
Yeah, if you want a sort of a comparison point, like Tau Battlesuits, for example, it used to be Tau Battlesuits were strength 4, they're now strength 5 base. In 8th edition, they were strength 5 base, they actually boosted them a little bit. To be strength 5, toughness 4. So, Tau Battlesuits might be a decent comparison point.
Was that to sort of shore up their melee weakness?
I think it was probably more to get around strength test nonsense. Not the strength tests were a thing in 8th edition, but it was also to make the Donkey Punch a little bit more useful. The Fusion Blades, no, they were strength 8 base and strength 10 base. I don't know why they did it, actually. I guess it's just to be more lore accurate that, yes, you can absolutely dome some Donnie with a battlesuit. Even if you are weapon skill awful, you can still dome someone in the head if you actually land a punch.
Fair enough. I mean, that's true in real life.
Indeed. Sorry, I went a little bit distracted because luckily we have stalled, well, not stalled, but we've managed to get through long enough to get to the article for the Warhammer Online animation preview that has just finished at the time of recording this episode, which we got the first 5 minutes of Angels of Death, which, unless we want to pause the show, I'm not sure if any of us are going to watch it right now. And also
I do want to point this out though, because I've had some people asking me about this constantly since the trailer dropped. No, I'm not in it. Shut up.
Why have people thought you were in it again?
But when the first trailer dropped, there was like a tech brief speaking, and people thought it sounded like me. It's like, it sounds nothing like me, mate.
Well, apparently the internet disagrees, and the internet's never wrong.
No, of course not.
Now, we could do a reaction. We could do a reaction video to the first 5 minutes.
I think if we're going to do something like that, we'll probably end up just sit here for 5 minutes, watch it, and then come back, because I don't think because we haven't really got the same way to cut that trailer over top. I don't want to get copyright claimed or anything.
That's fair. No. That's fair.
No,
but
we can still talk about it, though.
Absolutely. So what did they show off? They have talked about some of the shows that are going to be coming our way. 11 different animations, in fact. Some we already knew about, so these sort of anthology compilation Hammer and Bolter, Angels of Death, The Exodite, and Iron Within are all ones that we had seen or heard of before. But then we got a bunch of new ones. First off, I think probably the best recognizable one to the internet, Astartes 2. Witnessing the forces in unrelenting action. Okay, that's just a sentence that says nothing. Basically, the guy who made Astartes was snapped up by GW, and now he's made Astartes 2 with GW.
Which I imagine came out much faster than it took him to get the first one out. And good on him, man.
Absolutely.
It's basically now we can see what he can do with a budget behind him.
And the permission to use the license properly.
To be honest, he's probably got an entire team helping him from GW at this point as well.
Probably.
That's probably why he's been able to do it so quickly. He's got an entire fucking team.
Well, it's not like he doesn't know what to do, what direction to go. So once that, I mean, that's really one of the slowest things when you're doing a creative endeavor at all.
Oh, yeah, true. But if you've got a team of people doing the animations, it does speed up the process a hell of a lot.
I think so, as long as you don't get too many opinions. I do wonder how they worked that out, you know?
I'm sure they'll do a sit-down interview with them at some point and put an article up nearer the time.
So these are all animated things that are coming out?
Yes, so these are different Warhammer animation projects. The one that actually really interests me the most is the one called High Lords. Politics and treachery abound in the Imperial Palace. For 10,000 years, the High Lords have governed the Imperium. Such power brings corruption, intrigue, and danger to all who would grasp it. A High Lords of Terror animation? Yes, frickin' please.
It's basically going to be 40k Game of Thrones, let's be honest.
But less awful.
Well, less awful. As long as we don't get to a season 8, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, as long as we don't go past a season 5, we'll be fine.
But it sounds really cool either way, like as a concept. Oh, yeah. Like it'd probably be quite a difficult novel to write because of the amount of intrigue and visual storytelling that needs to happen to capture that intrigue. So seeing it in animation form will be really, really cool.
Well, you say that, but Chris Wright did a good job.
Oh, I'm not saying you can't do it.
Watches of the Throne stories, which basically focused on the machinations of the High Lords mainly.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's probably a lot faster to tell the story in a half-hour animation than it is to do it because you need about 400 pages to get all the information and spell it out and everything else. All the subtext is a lot. You've got to do a lot more writing.
But biology, you can also just do it as a comic book.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. What are the other ones? We have an
AOS one.
We have an AOS one, yeah. Black Talon, which is about Neve Black Talon, which is cool. Now, I don't know as much about Neve Black Talon as I probably should, given I played Stormcast and I own Neve Black Talon, but I never read any of her novels because she does have novels behind her. So I've never really looked at them in too much detail, but it sounds interesting either way. We've got a bit of a further look at the Exodite, where you've got a Tau stealth team. It's not just going to be one Tau knocking around. You've got a stealth team against the Imperium with Exodites in the background. Pariah Nexus. which will be nice to sort of tie it into 9th edition, sort of get a visual representation of what it's like in the Pariah Nexus, because again, storytelling is great, but it's sometimes nice to see it visually as well as in your mind's eye.
Altar of Wrath.
Altar of Wrath, which is Black Temples. I feel like we had seen that one before, at least in name. Now you've said it and I've read the little subtext. I feel like I've seen that before.
I think they showed a teaser of like the character model for a chaplain.
Oh yeah, is that super battered chaplain, as I recall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, where are all these animations supposed to be playing?
Well, introducing Warhammer Plus.
Oh my god.
It's a streaming service, isn't it?
This brand new service is heading your way in July, and you'll be able to watch all these shows on your favourite device thanks to a bespoke app created by a big name in VOD content. They'll perform more than animations with a full lineup, and subscriber benefits will blow your socks off. Tune in again on the 23rd of June.
Very interesting. At least we know it explains as to why those series like Astartes had all the YouTube videos privated and stuff like that. It's like, guess what? It's going to be on this new visually on demand service.
Yeah, and it was a question we were asking ourselves. I remember a few episodes, maybe not a couple of episodes ago, but a while ago, we were asking, like, where are they going to put these? Like, are they going to put them on Netflix? Are they going to put them on YouTube? And if they're going to put them on YouTube, they're just going to get pirated. Where are they going to end up? And, well, they've made their own platform. If you can't find it a safe place, make your own.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess it's not surprising. Although I wish they had combined it or had a combo deal with the general subscription that you have for the rule set.
I'm hoping they may actually tie that together, because it's Warhammer Plus and Warhammer app is a thing. So maybe it'll tie together as like an extra layer onto your subscription.
I just don't know what's going to stop people from subscribing for 1 month to watch, maybe an hour's worth of animations and then stop. Like, I don't know how long any of these are going to be. Astartes was, it's the first one's still relatively short when you put everything together. And then are all the others telling like deep, long stories, or are they sort of vignettes of the world?
Well, it says,
I don't think that's actually been explained yet, is it?
No, it says Angels of Death. Well, we've got 5 minutes-ish, 7 minutes even, of Angels of Death in this little video. And that's the full action-packed episode to be one of the very first to launch. So I'm assuming that there's going to be multiple episodes of more than 10, 15 minutes of Angels of Death. So maybe like 5 or 6 episodes of 30 minutes, something like that.
They haven't indicated what they're going to charge for this, right?
It's going to be a very, very interesting pricing model. We'll see what they do, I suppose.
I'm super curious, because I just don't know if there's enough content to justify the whole streaming service without them adding a bunch of other stuff.
Well, it says that you've got these things and more. And it says that it'll be offering more than just the animations. So we don't know everything it will offer, but it's not just going to be, these are your 11 shows, watch them, then go. At least as far as they seem to be suggesting anyway.
I bet they're going to move to a bunch of like painting tutorial type of videos being on there as well.
If they put the Warhammer GB YouTube channel onto that bloody paid service, then they're going to pee off so many people.
Yeah, but I mean, it's GW. What do they care?
Fair enough, I suppose. Yeah, because I've actually used some of those tutorials.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it just might make sense for them to do, because they are going to have to justify having additional content, and if that's literally the most important, the most watched content, where people are wanting to see, like, I mean, there's amazing tutorials on both Twitch and YouTube from GW, and so I could see them moving that to behind a paywall, with only some of them being available, for free on those other platforms, and then saying, for more, go here.
Kind of like some YouTube channels like Mini Wargaming have the vault. Like,
that's
here's one battle report, there's the vault for another one.
Model. So that's my prediction, boys.
Well, we'll be back in a month and we'll see if Miranda was right.
So I have an important question then. What happened to Eisenhorn?
That actually might come to this, possibly, then.
That's a point.
I mean, if they did a live action, that would be really interesting.
They did say it was going to be live action, didn't they, Eisenhorn?
That was the original rumor, and I know people wanted like Mark Strong to play in it, who would be a brilliant actor, I think, for it. But
well, he voiced
but then
him
it all
again,
disappeared.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But because didn't they say it was going to be directed by the guy who did that, what's it called? Man in the High Castle?
Sounds right.
Yes. But I haven't actually seen that show, so I don't really know what to expect from it. But I do enjoy Mark Strong, and the idea of watching a live action and seeing how they would handle that, it piques my interest a little bit more than an animation, even.
Oh, I just realised what else they can put on the Warhammer Plus app. They can put the Ultramarines movie there.
They're trying nostalgia. To gain subscribers, Remleiz. What are you thinking?
All they got to do is make it the John Hurt supercut. That's what they got to do. Just nothing but John Hurt in that version. Million subscribers straight away in the first month.
Okay, fair. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent on that part. The animations do look cool. I mean, it's interesting that they're leaning so hard into that direction.
Well, when you've nearly monopolized, well, not monopolized, but when you've got such a huge share of the physical model and literature-based perspective, and you're trying to go mainstream, where do you go next? You've already got all the...
I just realised. What they should do, they should take this time to actually, make something that they teased back in, 1994, or whatever it was, and fully make Hive Infestation.
Oh my god.
That live-action thing they tried, back then, which is like Space Wolf Terminators and Gene Stealers. They should go back and do that. Because it is glorious.
Wow. I would watch a live-action Space Hulk.
In a way, it is, yeah. Because you've got, the Gene Stealer Magus, and you've also got, the derpiest-looking live-action Gene Stealers.
Oh, are they in suits?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, back in the 90s, everything was superior. I'm sorry.
Well, there was a lot more moxie to stuff now. It doesn't have that weird, plastic polish that everything has right now.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this, in that trailer, the Terminator armor actually looks pretty damn good.
Well, it all had to make sense and be a practical item, whereas now you just CG it and it doesn't have to make any damn sense.
Mm.
It's Warhammer 40,000.
Well, yes.
Though I swear that looks like he's got a gun built into his, neck guard, just at that angle.
It does look like that. Maybe it's a camera. They ran around GoPros, right? That makes sense.
40k GoPro. Go Emperors. There you go.
That would make such amazing propaganda footage for the Empire, right? Any of the units and regiments that made it back, showing their GoPro footage. Of course, all I'm thinking of is Starship Troopers level stuff, because let's be real, that was a 40k movie.
Yeah.
So if they leaned, I would love to see a 40k comedy. I know it's not popular, but I think that would be amazing and really expand their market base.
TTS.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, there's your comedy. Everyone's worried when's GW going to snap up Alpha Busa.
Oh, jeez.
And probably not considering, he's focusing on parody. So, no, we don't want to...
We're not going to make fun of our own IP.
We don't want to make fun of ourselves. Not yet, no.
Yeah, I think it is too far for them to take Alpha. Not because TTS being a parody, but because of how heavily it is absolutely shaded GW in many places. Imagine you just took TTS, put bleeps over every swear, and then uploaded it to this service. The sheer amount of lamp shading it does is of even fourth wall breaking GW lamp shading, not just in-universe lamp shading.
I mean, in fairness, if the Simpsons could get away with making fun of Fox, which was their network...
Yeah, but that was a hostile relationship with each other. And so, if GW as their service hired on that one, that's one thing. But I mean, I don't know that you get away with doing that as much these days.
Sadly.
Yeah. But either way. So, that's cool. I mean, they've got a bajillion video games, and now they're going to have these animations. Maybe one day they'll make a decent movie. That'd be kind of cool.
And maybe,
we can but hope.
Yeah. I think GW. I think the 40k universe anyway is probably kind of hard to make a proper movie of that that people care about, because so much of it's just this super hard kind of edgelordy, violent, dreary world.
I don't even think it's just because of that. I think it's just because with some of the stories, you need more time than what a movie can give you.
Yeah, like...
Yes.
You think about the characters that you would portray. Like, most of them, either you have to make someone completely unique and trust the fans to go with you, which you probably could.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to do what they've done like with the new Mortal Kombat movie and make a...
Oh god, that was terrible.
And
Is
make
it?
a
I'm planning to see it at some point.
a character who fits in around the established legends, except you never get the established legends in one place because it's Warhammer 40,000.
I'm like, sorry, you just remind me about character. I can't believe they had the most fucking terrible character in that bloody movie. It's like, oh, I'm destined to fight in Mortal Kombat, even though I'm a shit fighter, and my powers, I have literal plot armor.
Oh dear.
Oh, that was stupid.
Sounds legit.
I may have just poked the Remleiz. Sorry.
No, literally, his power is that he grows armor. It's literal plot armor. What the fuck? Sorry. Anyway.
That is called an IP, especially a video game one, running through the Hollywood machine and being just mulched. And essentially it's like a pachinko machine with hammers. And they're like, I don't know, we need to put this in, we need to put this in. And by the end, the fans aren't getting what they want. They're just being told they are. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm probably going to enjoy it
But
because I don't care.
Here's the thing, though. The original Mortal Kombat movie was good. The sequel was shit. But the first Mortal Kombat movie for a video game movie was pretty damn good, and for a while it was like
not have said anything.
It was the best video game adaptation made for a good long while. I'm trying to think if there's actually a video game movie that's actually better than the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie.
I would actually argue Silent Hill is a better adaptation, but I see what you're saying.
Isn't the Silent Hill movie the one where it has scenes of Sean Bean being totally irrelevant, just doing fucking something completely unconnected to the plot?
Well, he sort of runs around a little bit in the world, but yes, there's a dual reality sort of happening during the whole thing. But when you watch the movie and you actually kind of pay attention to it, it's better than you think it is the first time. Ignore the sequel, as usual, where they made Pyramid Head a Pokemon, but yeah, the first one's not bad. So it's probably similar. It's just because it was a small enough budget that generally not too many people messed with it. But when the budget gets really big, too many people mess with it, and it makes it bad at the end.
No, I will say Pokemoning a character is not a bad thing. I mean, Black Library just turned Horus into a Pokemon, so...
So are we going to have a Pokemon 40k game? Would you all play that? Oh, no. Okay, I could see playing like the different Primarchs as Pokemon in a type of card game. How about that? Or was that Champions?
Just use different animals or something. Like, I don't know, Bomb Squig, I choose you.
Now, if they make a 40k movie, it just can't be about Space Marines. It would have to follow like Guardsmen or something.
Yeah, and as I was sort of halfway in before I accidentally mentioned the new Mortal Kombat movie instead of Remleiz, the three ways you do it is independent character no one's ever met, trust the audience, self-insert fan fiction around existing legends, or pick an existing character and backstory that everybody knows, but then how do you fit in all the ridiculous layers of backstory?
Alternatively, focus on a very, very small scale specific event. Like, say, the Blackstone Fortress. Like, with, the characters like Janus Drake and the Kroot and all that, because you got a small but interesting cast of characters, you got a very strange, unusual location, and it gives you an excuse to go full-on weird in regards to 40k, as well as adding some other bits from 40k set dressing and stuff as well. Yeah, and you can also add characters from other races as well, so you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the risk there, I agree absolutely. The risk there is it Warhammer enough? And now, I know it's in the Warhammer universe, it's using the Warhammer IP, Warhammer factions, etc. But if you asked a fan, Blackstone Fortress is amazing and will make a great movie one day. I just don't know if that's the first thing you want to say, this is what Warhammer 40,000 is, to a non-Warhammer fan base watching films for the first time, because it just isn't. It's nothing like Warhammer 40,000 in terms of the hyper-violence and the never-ending struggle for survival. You'd play the prequel screen like playing the great text crawl that goes at the start of every book, and it just wouldn't reflect what happens in Blackstone Fortress.
Okay, how about Space Hulk?
Space Hulk would be fun. It's aliens, Space Marines. We all know what that looks like. And then you can really lean into the aesthetic, which is probably Warhammer's strongest element, especially if you're trying to expand the audience.
Yeah, I think Space Hulk's probably a better bet because it does ground it back into what 40k is. Because you'd have with Blackstone Fortress, you'd have a lot of people go and say that was a really cool movie. What else has Warhammer got? And people say, well, actually, the rest of it's nothing like that. Whereas Space Hulk, yeah, you can play off like this grim, never-ending nightmare, and then a Space Hulk shows up. Oh gods, everyone panic! And then the Space Marines show up. It's like, who are these things? Why are they here? And you can have it because Imperial citizens don't know Space Marines exist most of the time. So you can actually really have a nice bit of self-explanatory plot device.
Or you could do a Necromunda movie.
Too close to Judge Dredd, possibly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess there's
Yeah, but
sort of an
how
established
Space Hulk not too
audience.
close to aliens, though?
Well,
Yeah,
yes. But the thing is, in both cases, although I would argue more so in the Alien Terminator case, there's sort of a universal audience for it because Alien versus Terminators is a straight horror movie. You can think of Event Horizon, which is another excellent 40K film, and you don't necessarily have to know what's going on already. Whereas I think Necromunda has a little bit of like the sort of Blade Runner, Judge Dredd, like post-apocalyptic stuff. It has a smaller audience inherently, I think.
it's a difficult one for GW because if you're GW, you want to make it clear exactly what Warhammer is in one film because you might only get one go at making the big time. And you've got to get it right first time, but you've also got to sell your IP so that A, people want more of the same thing, and B, you sell your miniatures. So you've got to get over the bits from the game. But
Because I've seen people saying they want a Horus Heresy movie, but it's like, you can't do a Horus Heresy movie. It's too fucking big. Unless you want like, an 18-hour movie, you're not going to be able to do a Horus Heresy movie at all.
like, you can't even do. You might be able to just squeeze in a movie that went as far as the virus bombing of Istvan 3. You wouldn't even get to Istvan 5 in one film.
But you can't do the entire conflict in one film. And
No.
let's be honest, you don't want to do a film series like, okay, cliffhanger, end of this movie is, we're about to do the Siege of Terror, no, we're not getting a sequel.
Yeah, like
You don't want that situation.
Yeah, you'd have to set it up like MCU style, where you have a few standalone stories, like a Horus story, or a Mortarian story, or a Sanguinius story, which are completely standalone, but they could then be tied together into a grand Horus Heresy universe.
Yep, I completely agree. They need to do a connected universe. They're just, it is too sprawling a world.
I still think they could do, a really good job of turning Gaunt's Ghost into a TV series.
You think as an ongoing series rather than a movie or even a miniseries?
If you do Gaunt's Ghost like something akin to, say, like Band of Brothers, if you do it like that, you could probably do a really good job of it.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and then you could pick, like, say you do that 6-7 episode TV series, or an hour episodes each. They each tell one book in chronological order, and then say one of the big ones, I can't think of the big conflicts of the Sabbath Worlds Crusade, but one of them then can become the film. You see Gaunt 10 years later, where you don't have to know the TV series has happened to understand who he is, what he's been through. But those who do know have that extra lore built on top because they've watched him get there.
So do you think these animations that they're putting out is an attempt to start doing that? Because it looks like what they're doing are little bits from all over AOS, 40K, and everything in between, right?
It might be.
Yeah, you've got to walk before you can run. So short features is definitely the way to go before you hit the big screen. Looking at you, Ultramarines movie, is why that doesn't work.
I mean, let's be honest, it can't be any worse than the fact that they're doing a Super Mario movie with James Corden as Mario, for fuck's sake.
I mean, it's a classic in its own right.
Yeah, but with James Corden, though?
Yeah.
Why him? Why have him as Mario? Why can't I just bring back Bob Hoskins, even though, reasons you can't? But hey. It's just, ugh. Anyway. But yeah, that new Mortal Kombat movie sucks.
Yeah. The animations are completely within their control, so we'll see whether or not that's a good thing or not.
Yeah, that's true.
So 40K, or Warhammer Plus, that's what it's going to be called?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many subscription services are there now? Like 40?
A lot.
Yeah. If only there was a way to bundle them with one singular service.
This brings us to our sponsor, NordVPN. No, just kidding.
Ah.
Oh, there's been a further statement on Warhammer Plus. animations are just the start. There's a whole heap of stuff coming, from more exclusive content to special access areas and dedicated offers and rewards. There might even be some exclusive miniatures in the offing.
Oh, that's how they get you.
Basically, subscribe to Warhammer Plus, watch the animations, and we'll give you a free model.
Like, I don't know about that. Like, I'm not going to say any further because obviously we've got a month until it comes out, but doesn't sit very nicely of, hey, pay us a lot of money and you'll get some nice things as compensation that no one else gets. That kind of feels a bit iffy to me, or is that just me?
I mean, it's a pay to participate sort of scenario or model. If they were only making like really amazing tournament models that you could only get that way, then I think that would feel more obvious. But if they're just going to be like little fluffy models, I don't know that it matters as much. The way GW stores have model exclusives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not the first time GW has done exclusive models for very limited things for very limited times. So,
I mean, do you remember when? Well, you probably don't remember this actually, Tactica, because like when Black Library first launched, they also sold like very, very limited run models of Black Library characters. Like you can get like a model of Captain Leonatus of the Blood Angels, a Cal Jericho model before you actually got a decent model. Ephrael Stern and Silas Hand had models, and like a whole bunch of other ones. And like there's like only like 500 of each, and you could only get them through Black Library. It was weird.
That is definitely different.
Yeah, I don't know. Be curious to see what comes of that. That's definitely some interesting news, though.
Agreed. Let's put a pin in that, and we'll come back to it in a couple of episodes' time, probably 3 episodes' time. We'll get a proper chance to talk about it. But I am the only person on this panel who has had the chance, at least on this program, to talk about Warhammer Fest, and I feel like Remleiz and Miranda, you probably have opinions.
Well,
So
I did look at it right before hanging out with you guys, and I was very impressed with the new Sisters of Battle line, and I love that they're actually like good looking now again, and like cool and powerful looking, and I still love those suits, which I know I mentioned earlier, but that's sort of like my big highlight. And then the new Morven Vol seems like a cool one, but I'm really a big fan of the Celestians.
Yeah, those are the shield infantry, aren't they?
Yes. Well, there's the one with the cool braziers on the back of them, and then the ones in the suits. They're both, I guess, Celestians. Pull up my images here.
There's the Sacrosancts, which are the ones with the maces or the halberds and the coffin shields.
Yes. How effective those are, I have no idea. But they look pretty badass, so it's pretty exciting.
And they look a lot better than they did with halberds, because halberds and shields does not work.
Yeah, it was a weird choice. And then of course the new weapon, the new vehicle, the Castigator. But it does seem like they're getting more melee heavy, so it's interesting because Sisters of Battle were always previously very mid-ranged. You don't want to get them engaged in melee, but they're like trying to shore up those weaknesses from the sound of it with their new High Lord and with their Paragon armored models. They seem like they're going to hold their own a little more without necessarily having to use a combined force, because I always figured Sisters of Battle worked really well with like Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum.
Yeah, the Sisters were always, because their holy trinity was Bolter, Flame and Melter, nothing really had a long range on it with the exception of like the Heavy Bolter. Obviously you had the Exorcist and yes, bring out the 1812s, but it's still interesting that they have gone down a more punchy route with them. I hadn't actually really thought about it, that they've really gone down the route of, yeah, we're going to get up close to you and burn you in fire, but if you have the temerity to walk through that in charges, yeah, have a power maul to the face, goodbye. Which is quite nice, this sort of like crusade, because they are kind of sort of a mix between the full-on crusading knights of the Black Templars and sort of the cleansing flame of religion in general in some parts of history. I'm not going to get there too much into that gets political, but it's a nice mix. They feel like nuns on crusade, but more, which is really nice. They're not full-on Crusader knights like the Black Templars, but
yeah,
the Crusader nuns.
They're actually just a lot more balanced now, because if you could close the distance on Sisters of Battle, you were generally able to wipe them out. If you got them engaged, they were going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot about it. I mean, you had Celestine, and you could read, fall back and fire sometimes. But I think with this being able to actually remove the infantry that is now engaging your models, especially since they were talking a lot about heroic intervention and such, I think it should hopefully make the other side approach you a little different, at least.
Yeah, definitely. Though I still can't unsee what me and Narina were talking about, that the what's her name? Agatha Delan, the little Hagiator woman who accompanies the standard bearer, really just looks like the sort of wizened psyche mother of the standard bearer.
Yeah, that looks like a Sisters of Sigmar kind of look going on there. Not amazing. But that's fine, you know. I don't mind variety in the models. I just don't like them all looking like ridiculous. So
I'm just happy the fact that, going away from Sisters very briefly, I'm just happy that we're getting new models for Gaunt's Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people for some reason complaining about how they look. I think they look pretty good.
I think we talked about it last episode, just like the wood designs on the las guns and the long las in particular, how intricate some of the designs are. It is really impressive in general, and I still can't get over just how good that book limited edition kit is. It is genuinely amazing.
Oh yeah, well the Vincula Insurgency.
That's the one, yeah. Me and Narina were probably gushing about that last episode.
Nice.
I'm also surprised that they're reissuing the Sabbath Worlds Crusade book, but as like a completely different version of the book, even though it's the same book. Like they're adding a whole bunch of additional stuff to it.
Wow. Those look nice.
I mean, it's a good, safe way, because I don't know if they still sell that anthology, but it's a good way of...
They sold out ages ago.
Yeah, so it's a good way of getting people caught up on the Sabbath Worlds without saying, oh, by the way, you aren't going to be able to read some of this because it all was in an old anthology that we don't sell anymore. So if they were still selling it, it would be weird, but I think if they have stopped selling it, then it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I'm also surprised that we're getting another Iron Snake book of all bloody things, which also appears to be featuring Saint Sabat in it as well, which is pretty cool.
Definitely. And Siege of Terror, Warhawk, of course, which I'm sure will be...
yes. Yes.
Yeah, the Battle of Lion's Gate with Jagatai Khan clearly not on the back of a Razorback.
That's because the Razorback wasn't around during the Siege of Terror.
It was a TTS joke.
I know. But I still got to point out that Razorbacks weren't a thing back then.
I know.
It's amazing how many Black Library books they're able to pump out every year.
And none of them are afraid of Sigmar in this reveal. I'm not salty, you're salty. Shut up.
I do like the look of this, the Blue Bloods novel.
Yeah, I do. I quite like Volpo and Glory. And the other one I really like the look of is the noir novel, Grim Repast. Not noir, crime. Grim Repast. I really like that novel cover.
I still need to read the first book in that series.
I haven't really read any of them yet. And then you've got the Necron one as well, the Twice Dead
King.
Yeah, that one. Nate Crowley getting a full novel. I'm looking forward to that. I think that would be pretty good.
It's just Necrons versus Orcs, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Well, Necrons versus Orcs and themselves. Well, maybe not themselves, but the least of the horrors that face the Necrons is the Orcs. So there's some other thing going on.
Gretchen.
Flayer Curse? Looking at the flayed ones on the cover, possibly?
Maybe. But then we've already explored that thing in the Devourer novella. Because because pretty much the entirety of that book was, oh shit, everyone in this tomb complex is being infected with the Flayer virus. Run.
True.
And then Amrakir got sat on by Arcana effects.
Dear.
I'm not even joking there.
I know.
Well, very, very, very slowly, but yeah, he got sat on by Arcana effects.
What did you make of the House Delac stuff, Ram, for Necromunda?
Some of it gives me a weird Ghost in the Shell vibe.
Yeah, so
Not Ghost in the Shell, and some of it gave me like old Matrix vibes as well, like with those big flying squid things.
Yeah, and the basic Delac fighters, I can't unsee the Thin Men from XCOM.
I've not played XCOM, so...
No, neither have I, but I've seen a Let's Play of it, but...
Yeah, that thing, the squid thing, it reminds me of that thing from The Matrix.
Yep, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, and the one thing I can't unsee is the Zeitgeist. Child psychers in suits. What the... No. Just no.
Come play with us.
What do you got against children, Tactica? Why do you hate the children?
Child psychers being used as weapons. I'm a teacher. Just no.
So that's what you do every day, then?
I mean, okay, let's be real.
I don't turn children into bloody walking weapons, tapping into psychic power and walking around in kill machines, Remleiz. That's not how it works.
But I thought in the 40k world, if you were an unsanctioned psyker, you basically had to be killed. I mean, what's the alternative to these kids? Because I assume they're not being given the psychic abilities. Oh,
it's Necromunda.
Necromunda is pretty much a lawless wasteland, and there is some things in some of the lore for House Select that's already been revealed in that they basically create their own psykers, which are called spikers. And some of them have massive heads as a result.
Yeah, so they're breeding psykers to be used as living weapons.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry,
questionable.
I'm not defending House Delac. I refuse to defend House Delac.
Like, the spiker stuff is very, like, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, yeah, but we don't care. Because this is what things that they're making. It's like, let's create Megamind.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really creepy imagery, though.
Of course, we also got plastic Thunderhawks.
Hey.
Very tiny ones.
Tiny ones, but yeah. And of course, crab.
You got crabs?
What?
There we go.
You are despicable.
Shame. Actually,
It was right there. I had to take it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Shut up.
I'm making up for a week of absence.
Yeah, there was this crab, and then what's the other thing? This fish.
The lionfish, wasn't it?
Fish. Yeah. Oh, lionfish? Okay.
Yeah, then you get Scorpion, the Namati, you've got Shang Tsung, the Soul Render, and we come full circle.
We're going back to talking about that new Mortal Kombat movie, aren't we, for fuck's sake?
Well, now we're going to move on because we're going to talk about Orcs now. Well, if you want to talk about the Orcs, of course, because I've already talked about all of this.
Zodgrod's back after, like, it took only, 8 editions for him to come back?
I feel like he's in the wrong box, though. Like, he's like the super sympathetic to super grots kind of guy, and he's in a box with one grot, and it's a grot strapped to a wheelie bomb squig. It just feels like he's in the wrong army box. Like, there's no grots in this box, which of course they're not remaking grots.
They probably just wanted to say, like, hey, we got this character and we got this box that come out, fuck it, just stick it together.
Yeah, of course, but I think it would have been more fitting to put the new really cool Warboss and Mega Armor in there, I think.
That's true. Oh, I just remembered something. And I know it's AOS, but there's something I want to address, considering that some people have asked me about this, and I just want to point out, no, it's absolutely stupid. It's not the same thing. Right, so you know there was that trailer for Broken Realms Kragnos?
Yep.
And you know in that trailer he says that he's the end of empires?
I think so, yep, that sounds right.
I've had people ask me if he's Draconian.
No, wrong universe.
No. Well, it doesn't matter if it's wrong universe, because it's a demon travelling through the warp into different realms, so that doesn't matter.
But he's not a demon.
But, no, he's not. I mean, more than one person can have the title End of Empires. I mean, let's be honest, in 40k alone, there's about, 3 or 4 different people with the title of Widowmaker?
Yeah, I mean, Archaon carries the Slayer of Kings. He's not the only one who calls himself the Slayer of whatever, or Kingslayer.
No, got Jimmy Lannister for that. Hey.
Dear, oh dear. But I do really like the new Sigmar models, like the new Stormcast. I know she's just Sanguinius, but she's still really cool.
You could probably make a really good Celestine conversion out of her.
Oh, absolutely. Celestine as well, but just because the wings are so natural, whereas Celestines are a bit more synthetic or not false, but they're not feathered in the same way.
They're mechanical.
Mechanical, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. She feels more Sangy than Celestine to me, especially with the spear and sword.
I have seen some people point out how it seems a bit weird that she'd have, like, natural wings as opposed to the more, like, metallic wings that seem of, like, the Celestine Prime in that.
Oh yeah, she's the only one with actual natural wings in the entirety of the Stormcast, aside from the Taurolon and the Star Drake, I guess. But yeah, all the Stormcast themselves don't have actual wings. They have wings of light.
Do they seem a little low set to you guys? Like where her wings are attached?
Without seeing the back of her, I wouldn't know for sure. But maybe?
They just seem a little low. I mean, other than the fact that just walking around with those must be a nightmare. But,
Oh, actually, no, you do see the back of her. They're set to come out from properly out of her back, her upper back, mostly. You can still see the bottom of her back.
Do you?
But you'd also be able to see her neck if she had no hair.
Because they seem mid-back from the front, and that always seems a little on the low end. But yeah, I see what you're saying. They kind of curve back up.
Right, okay.
It's beautiful, though.
Mm.
So why would she have natural wings? Why is that a thing?
It shouldn't. That's the thing. So the way the Stormcast work is they are regular average humans who, well, not maybe average, but regular humans who die fighting chaos. They are recognized for their talents in war by Sigmar, who scoops up their spirit, takes it to his ear, and reforges them into the Stormcast Eternals. As a result, as they're just humans in armor, but, supercharged with lightning and super weapons and all that stuff, they don't have the ability to fly. So some of them have wings that are essentially wings of light that carry them into battle. Like the Prosecutor Scouts, for example, have wings of light, and the Celestine Prime has wings of light. These being more, not natural, because they're clearly just stuck onto her back, rather than sprouting out, because she's got like a fully plated back. It's just an odd design choice relative to the rest of them.
Feels like she was, got to make a wish or something with Sigmar and say, like, can I have wings, please? Like real ones. And that's what she got. And then more Stormcast Eternals.
Yeah, I really like the new Thunderstrike armor. Particularly as I said before, the one standing like a Roman auxiliary spearman is really cool. The running stabby ones I like less, but the one that actually stands really stock still, as much as it's the most boring pose, it's also my favorite by 100 miles because it is.
I like the dude with the big hammer.
Yeah, the Annihilator who will emboss your face with his lightning hammer.
The lion on his chest.
Pretty good base for that'll make a really good base for a conversion for a chaplain of the Celestial Lions.
Yeah.
In Terminator armor, yeah.
Yeah.
No, AOS models don't mess around. They're usually gorgeous.
Yeah, they are. They really, really are. Even Kragnos himself, I really like Kragnos' model. It's not one I'll collect because I don't play Destruction, but I do really like Kragnos' model.
I do have one question though, considering Kragnos is a centaur, right?
Kinda, yes.
So it's like, I always thought that centaurs were, creatures of chaos. So why is this one, of the Destruction faction?
This is the thing that's been confusing a lot of people. Because Order has centaurs in the Kenothi, Chaos has centaurs in the Centicore, and also Dragon Ogres.
In regards to like actual centaurs, not Centaurs, but actual just centaurs, they were chaos creatures.
The only centaur I know of are the Centicore, at least in AOS at the moment. I could be wrong. You've got the Dragon Ogres and the Shaggoth, and then you've got the Centicore. None of whom are centaurs. They're a different breed of something else entirely. That's not to say that people haven't been saying, well, shouldn't the Beastmen just be in Destruction now that Kragnos is a thing? And I kind of agree that Beastmen kind of need to be rebranded from Beasts of Chaos to... But then that would also uproot Zangors and Slangors and all this stuff. So I can see the argument both ways for Beasts of Chaos, like Gors and Ungors and Vestigors, moving across into Destruction to fit Kragnos. But also it also says that Kragnos is not a god beast, but he was around in the Age of Myth, in the Age of Gods, and he kind of is on that tier of the lesser gods of destruction. Like, not Gorkamorka's level, but probably Behemoth's level. So it stands to reason that maybe his race sired all of the different beastmen subspecies, which then diverged as Kragnos' race died out. He was sealed away by Lord Croak, and thus when Chaos came, they were corrupted wholesale. Maybe.
Right.
As best as the guesses I've got until I get Broken Realms Kragnos whenever it comes out. Best guess I've got.
Okay.
Does that cover all of
Actually, aside from, I think, in terms of Warhammer Fest itself, we've just quickly flicked through all of it. Yes, I think we have. There have been a few rumour engines this week for AOS. I haven't actually really had a chance to look at any of them. I'll probably get a chance on my own time, but they're starting to really build up to AOS 3 now, which I still think will be out in July.
Silly question. Did you guys last episode talk about the new Pain Boy?
Yes, we did, because that was out, the new the Pain Boss. Yeah, we did. We talked about it.
Did you guys notice how it's actually a reference to an old Rogue Trader miniature?
No. Go on.
Yeah, it's based on like one of the original Orc Pain Boy models from first edition.
This is why we need Remleiz on the show every time, because he just knows these things. That's really interesting. I would never have clocked that. That's really interesting.
I only know this because I actually had the model. It's like, oh, that looks familiar. Like with the mask and the claw arm and all that.
So it wasn't just an image from Rogue Trader, like if it was an actual model before.
Say that again, sorry?
Oh, it wasn't just an image from Rogue Trader magazine. It was an actual model.
It was an actual model, yeah.
Oh,
it was an actual
nice.
model, yeah.
I imagine he looked a little different before. In that charming, chunky way they all looked in the 90s.
Mm.
Before the Gorka Morka Revolution.
He looks cool, though.
Oh, yeah.
As usual.
Agreed.
I
So
love how he's got like a squig, it's like a little catheter or something.
The original's amazing.
The original derpy face Pain Boys.
Oh, it's so good. See, that's the thing. Like, Warhammer's already rebranded, right? Because they were a lot more goofy in the 90s. Way, way, way more tongue-in-cheek. And now it's a lot more serious. And so, I mean, I feel like the audience has diverged, too.
Did you ever see the old Tin Boy models? The old Orc robots?
No.
Which were based, had Eldar, Squat, and Space Marine.
Yes. Oh, I would play this game.
He's got to love how the Squat robot literally just has a giant mechanical beard.
Well, yeah, it's a dwarf, right? Like, it's a take on that. And then,
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, they look like wizards. They look like they're straight out of Wizards, you know? Ah,
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
brilliant.
You gotta love how they emphasize the shoulder pads with the Space Marine one as well.
Well, that's how you know they're powerful.
I'm
War
just trying to
Machine really took
process
that to heart.
that one on the left. Like, is that supposed to be Eldar, that one on the
Yeah,
left?
that is, yeah.
Yes.
Just what?
With the big ears.
See, if they made a children's cartoon and they looked like this, I would be all over it. That would be amazing.
Dear, oh dear.
Fair enough. I noticed in recent editions they changed the Orcish name for the Eldari. I'm trying can't remember what they're called now, but in the older editions, the Orcish name for Eldar was Pansy, but they changed it to something else recently. And I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, because they kept Beaky for Space Marine, and they had Stunty for Squat, or Short as it's called now. Bug-Eye for Nids, or Fing as well for Mutant. They changed what Eldari are now though for some reason.
Well, I can completely understand the reason, given the connotations of that particular term.
Yeah, at this point anymore, yeah.
I suppose, yeah.
But either way, it's been 4 weeks, Rem. I'm just wondering, I know obviously you had a lot going on the last couple of weeks, but I wondered if you'd had a chance to put an eye over any books over the last couple of weeks.
I've been making my way through Firecast, and I'm about...
Is it still utterly depressing?
In places, but it also gets very weird in places as well. And then it goes absolutely batshit insane with some pretty awesome action scenes. We don't need spoilers because it's a very old book.
Yeah, it's very, very old.
But I just want to point out a very awesome scene, like right near the end of the book. You got the Arkan Confederacy basically trying to launch their assault upon this oil rig that's basically got Tau and Gevesa Skitari on it. And there's this one scene where the Tau tanks are attacking, you got like, the Devilfish and a Hammerhead. And as the Hammerhead is about to use its ion cannon to blow up a boat, a Sentinel launches itself off of a boat and jumps on top of the Hammerhead turret, crushes the ion cannon just as it's about to fire beneath its feet, and creates a huge explosion that sends the Sentinel flying into the air, as well as destroying the Hammerhead. And it's like, that's pretty damn awesome. Just having a Sentinel jump from a boat on top of a tank's turret. That's just pretty epic. But yeah, I know I'm jumping very, very, very far ahead in regards to it, but at one point that's just an awesome scene. But anyway, yeah, most of this book is very fucking depressing. It's kind of like, I suppose it's like, what's it called? You ever seen the movie Platoon?
No, I'm afraid not.
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
You seen Platoon?
I have.
It's basically kind of like, the horrors of war type thing, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
Lots of PTSD type stuff.
Like that and Full Metal Jacket and just that kind of era. Yeah. I see what you're saying. It's just very glib.
Just pointing out how everything on this world is absolutely horrible. Like, one guy gets off of a boat, he gets into the shallows of the water, he's made his way up the beach, and all of a sudden, he's been eaten alive by crabs. Wow, what a good start to the war.
Yeah, okay. But do they make up for it with moments other than what you described? It sounded like literal jumping the shark moments.
Yeah, there's some pretty awesome scenes. Like, you got these guys in like suits of powered armor, not power armor, but it's like, I suppose you could say it's like a cross between Sentinel and Centurion armor, like a midway point. It's like technology from their own homeworld, like from before they were integrated into the Imperium. These like steampunk knight suits, as it were. And you got this one guy going on with his heavy stubber, and he's got big speakers on, and he's like blasting music when he's mowing stuff down with his heavy stubber.
Okay.
And I just like to think he's playing Flight of the Valkyries while shooting everything.
It's probably some heavy metal, like, hyper-violence track type thing, or like the Rip and Tear from the Doom soundtrack or something.
I think it's more like, Civil War era music. Like, considering, the regiment is the Arkan Confederates, and they all speak with like a southern drawl. Though it's a bit weird having one character written with like, a typical southern gentleman, and then he says arse as opposed to ass. Bit weird, personally, but
yeah, I'm trying to sound that out in my head, and I'm really struggling.
Yeah, but it's also some really Oh, I do want to point out as well, though. Where is it? I'll try and dig up the tweet I made about it. The thing that made me unintentionally burst into laughter. There's one flashback scene talking about the regiment when they were purging a village called Trinity, which had basically fallen under chaotic corruption, but they didn't realise it was chaotic corruption because they've only been in the Imperium for 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
Bloody hell, where was it? Wasn't that long ago that I posted it? Come on, where is it? For fuck's sake. But yeah, there was a scene from that because all the townsfolk had basically been corrupted. And this one line just made me burst into laughter. With his free hand, he wrenched the child loose and threw her through a broken window. Just basically grabbing a child and yeeting them through a window. And now, I don't know if Peter Veivara was trying to make that scene hilarious,
No.
but I just couldn't stop laughing when I read that scene. Just this mental image of a guardsman just grabbing a kid and throwing them.
Well, the child. So, I mean, was this child being mentioned before? Was he like an ass?
Basically, the child was mentioned earlier in the scene. It was basically, along with the rest of the villagers, trying to eat people. And this child basically bit the guy on the arm, so it was free hand, grabbed the child, yeet.
I'm sorry, I don't know how that's funny. Or maybe
it's just
Have you ever
about
seen
one line
Tropic
out of
Thunder?
context.
Probably a lot
Oh,
like...
with the panda.
Well, yeah, or even that little kid,
Oh, I only remember the scene of the panda from Tropic Thunder.
Jesus, yes.
Oh, God.
It's inappropriate humor.
Yes. But yeah, aside from that, there's a lot of weird, like, people being haunted by their own ghost type thing, religious fanaticism, which is a given for the Imperium.
Yep.
It turns out there's like a huge conspiracy going on between this one Sky Marshal and the Tau Empire. So, like, every Imperial Guard regiment that's being sent to this world is basically being, converted over to the Tau Empire and to the Greater blah, blah, because it's effectively a fake war going on. And the reason they find this out is because the Commissar learns that, like, why the hell did the Sky Marshal turn down the services of the Catatan jungle fighters who are perfectly adapted to fighting on this horrible, swampy, tropical world? Why the fuck would he turn them down?
Because you can't
There's
turn
something
them
wrong
round.
with that. Because if you have a Death World jungle planet, the first people you want are the Catachans, let's be honest.
Well, once you know the Catachans exist, yes, you want them right off.
Yeah. Oh, the Sky Marshal was a different regiment. He's basically like, a local Imperial Guard commander. Who's basically in command of, like, this one particular war zone. And the Arkan Confederates have basically been sent to this war zone as, like, yeah, you're next in the grinder, you're going in there.
Yeesh.
But yeah, lots of... It's really hard to describe the events of this book specifically, because it's very... I don't want to say disjointed, because it's not. Like, if you read it, it makes, perfectly coherent sense. It's just the way it's written makes it very hard to relay the actual details, as a summary, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I follow what you mean. It's like, you could follow the plot, but then trying to tell someone else the story is difficult, yeah.
Yeah, in either case, it's something I do highly recommend, even though it is extremely depressing in places. Not as much as 15 Hours. That book was a fucking misery to get through.
Well, it was probably meant to be.
I know, that was the point, but this is more of a case like war sucks, religious fanaticism sucks, jungle sucks, fungus sucks, everything sucks, and we're all gonna die because we're all haunted by our own sins. Oh, and there's a demon with like a giant leech mouth running around, and it just tried to eat a Tau watercast, who then blew up his hover chair to kill it.
And that's less depressing than 15 Hours?
Yes.
Blimey heck, how bad must 15 Hours be on your sanity?
So I would just go ahead and say that I would not pitch this book to adapt into a movie.
The funny thing is, I remember reading this when I was about 16, 17, because it formed the basis of part of my English coursework at A-level. So I read this book for coursework.
God, you must have been traumatized for weeks.
I don't really remember, or I didn't
You
realize.
blocked out.
I probably didn't realize how grim it was because I was 16 and probably a bit more naive.
Do you remember the scene where, soldiers
It
are
was
going
8 years
patrolling
ago.
but you probably would remember this scene because there's a very, very specific scene that you just generally don't forget. They're walking through the swamp, and all of a sudden, a guy has a giant spider jump on his face and eat his face off.
Nope.
No, you don't remember that scene? Okay, you must have blocked that out.
8 years. A lot can happen in 8 years.
Yes. And let's be honest, if you go have a scene of a spider that's big enough to envelop your head and bite your face off, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to remember that.
Yeah, back when I was 16, 17, I wasn't much of a reader. I was a skim reader. So a lot of superficial detail, a lot of the detail really got lost on me, and I just picked up the superficial. Oh, that was fun. Next. I think doing this podcast and reviewing books with you has really helped me appreciate just like the depth of these things and slowed me down in my reading so that I actually take it in as to what I'm reading.
No, fair enough. Honestly, the Black Library is still an incredibly overwhelming environment to enter.
And it's only getting bigger.
Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, they're putting out half a dozen books a year at least.
Half a dozen books a month, more like.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that many. It's probably more like every other month.
And those are the things that are selling out more than models.
The limited edition ones, yes. The regular edition ones never sell out, to my knowledge, until they stop selling them anyway.
Well, the hardback ones do. It's just the paperback ones tend to have a longer shelf life.
Because they come later and everyone who wanted it's already bought the hardback.
I think they also make a lot more paperbacks than hardbacks anyway.
True. Excuse me. Sorry.
Sorry, keeping
Right.
up, are we?
No, sorry. Just a long week, nearly half term, then I can chill.
Lucky for some.
Eh?
So lucky for some that people can chill.
Well, yes, that's partly you. I'm not getting in. I'm not having that argument. I'm just not.
We can go back to talking about Mortal Kombat.
The fact that the last episode came out 3 days late because I literally spent the entire week working and sleeping, and I didn't even have time to sit down and edit the podcast should tell you just how busy I got.
Oh my gosh.
That's fair enough, yeah.
It was pretty much 15-hour days, including 5 hours in front of kids a day, every day.
Oof. Oof.
But
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But I think we could do some questions, since that will get us all back on track of talking about things we agree on.
Sure, go for it. But I think I just want to point out again, though, that the Mortal Kombat movie, the new one, sucks.
Of course.
There you go. If you liked it in the comments, if you liked it, fine. No, I'm taking that away from you. I'm just saying I thought it sucked. Giving the character literal plot armor isn't. Jesus Christ. Anyway, questions.
Yep. That one, we already know the answer to that one.
Is it 47?
It's asking, like, could it be possible to clone a Primarch using the chapter's gene seed? Which, no. Like, you can clone a Primarch with Primarch DNA, but not just gene seed, because it's too corroded and diluted.
Yeah, I mean, Fabius Bile needed the actual, blood samples.
I mean, could you theoretically do it at the Sanguinis Portum, do you think?
Probably not, considering it's missing part of the Godmaker organ.
True.
So it'd be like, yeah, like I've made a clone of a Primarch, except he's only 3 feet tall. I should call him Smallrus.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Hey, at least I didn't call him Mini Horus.
No, that's because Horus Aximind already took that one.
No, he was Little Horus.
Details.
Now we have Smallrus.
This should be an interesting one.
It.
Would the Emperor have been better served by using the Thunder Warriors in the role of Siegebreaker instead of the Iron Warriors, and then just letting attrition take its course to wipe them out? Or could he have instead maybe put the Thunder Warriors in stasis and unleash them during the Siege of Terra as a last resort instead of, Ararat?
I mean, let's be honest, was the Emperor really thinking as far as head of the Siege of Terra during the Unification Wars?
I mean, he planned for a rebellion.
He planned for a rebellion, but did he foresee it to go as badly as it did, though?
No, because he planned on Magnus being on his side, I suppose. That's true. As for the using the Thunder Warriors in the Great Crusade, there's two reasons why not. One, you want the people you're bringing into compliance not to entirely hate you, and you want them to be alive. And two, the Thunder Warriors' Thunder Armor was not designed to work in non-Terran atmo. It wasn't an Enviro suit that was sealed off like power armor, so on low air worlds or toxic worlds, they would have been utterly useless, and you needed someone like the Iron Warriors anyway.
Not to mention, there's also the risk of, like, if you try and, keep them in stasis ready for the Siege of Terra, there's always the risk of, like, when they wake up from stasis, like, the Emperor wants us to do this? Nah, fuck that. And now you're just basically giving Horus a shit ton more troops.
Yeah, there is also, the obedience issue, definitely.
Because, the Thunder Warriors weren't exactly the best at taking orders at times.
True.
Especially when they found out that they were going to be, they were made disposable. That really pissed them off. There's a reason why part of a Space Marines, training involves psycho-indoctrination. Let's put it that way.
Yes, definitely.
Because the Emperor learnt from his mistakes. For once. In one aspect.
In one tiny aspect of, hey, let's get these people not to be utterly disobedient. Wait, what do you mean half of them rebelled anyway?
Again, first, correcting one mistake is the first step. He corrected one. Should be commended for that.
Yes.
He still fucked up everywhere else, but, he corrected a mistake.
Yep, you've got to praise the positives. Even if the negatives got trillions of people killed.
Details.
You both said it at the same time. Oh dear. Right. If Iskandar Kaon found out about Abaddon Horus's involvement with the burning of Prospero, do you think he would turn on the Black Legion and try to kill Abaddon for it?
At this point, probably not.
Besides, how much does Abaddon even know about the plan?
I don't know how much Abaddon knows, and let's be honest, if Kaon finds out, like, oh, burning of Prospero was Horus's fault, it's like, okay, well, Horus is dead. Oh, well. I can't exactly walk back up to the Imperium and go, oh, sorry about that misunderstanding.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry that I've been, I reformed and helped to form the Black Legion out of the Sons of Horus Legion. I kind of didn't realise that their dad, the one that they've turned their back on because they thought he was weak, was actually responsible for getting my legion killed. But, this guy who I'm actually following, he didn't know about it. He's fine, but I'm still holding a bit of a grudge against his dad. So, can I come back, please?
We cool.
This one I saw and I wanted to answer it. Question for Tactica. You've got 4 Elven armies but no Eldar. What does the Eldar range do wrong that the Elven armies are doing right? Be interesting. I hate to say it, it's be interesting. And part of it is down to unique aesthetic, because people don't necessarily always know this, but I nearly got a Drukhari army. Like, on 2 separate occasions, I've considered getting Drukhari. Once in 7th and then once again in 8th. I have strongly considered getting a Drukhari army at 2 separate points in time. And I think I just find the Craft Worlds range and lore really dull. I don't find them as interesting as I do like the Ideneth range, which is entirely unique and interesting. The Daughters of Cain range has fascinating lore and Morathi. Hello. The Cities range is a bit of a carryover, admittedly, like the Daughters, the Darkling Covens and stuff. And then the Lumineth Realm Lords, it's techless, it's high elves, and that was what I played in Fantasy. The Craft Worlds range is A, old, and B, boring. It doesn't do anything for me the same way that the High Elves did. Or certainly the new High Elves, the Lumineth, did. And whilst I nearly got Drakari, Harlequin's too finicky for me to paint, and Ynnari, like, meh. I don't know, I just never found them as interesting.
Ynnari are basically a dropped faction at this point.
Pretty much. But yeah, I just never found their models that interesting. Probably because a lot of them are old. They weren't as unique or engaging. They're just thin blokes in suits. Whereas the Idoneth are incredibly unique, and when you actually read their lore, are incredibly interesting. What's the Eldari's lore? The Craftworld Eldar's lore? We were the dominant race in the galaxy, then we got bored, then we created a murder god. Like, and now we're dying and we're trying to avoid dying. Like, it's your own fault. And I know the Lumineth are no better, but the Lumineth are on a redemption arc. Like, they caused the Spirefall. Yes, their hubris got the better of them. Go elves. But they realised the problem. Teclis went and pled with the moon. And then they fixed the problem. And they turned their race around. They turned their realm around. And now they're going on the offensive to save everybody else, even if everyone else doesn't want saving. Still got that hubris problem. So, they're just... I find them more interesting. And I find Teclis and Tyrion and Malekith and Marathi really interesting. The Phoenix Lords are nice, but they're not the faction. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough.
So, here's a bit of another theory crafter. Assuming no Primarchs returned or the Emperor died, became a god, let's just assume that current status quo 40k, no unique changes from that, except the Imperium won. So let's just say that take the current state of the Imperium, but have it win. They beat Chaos Bat, they seal off the warp, and they deal with the Tau, they deal with the Tyranids, whatever. The Imperium's won. What does the galaxy look like then? Does the Imperium turn on itself and eat itself without an enemy to unite behind? Does it try and recapture the Golden Age and become a development house again? What does the galaxy and the Imperium look like if it wins, assuming no Emperor, no more Primarchs?
I imagine it would just continue operating as if there was still a threat. I mean, there's no reason to convince the people of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people don't know those threats are there. They just know that there is a threat. They're not allowed to know what chaos is. They're not allowed to know what aliens are. You can just convince them the Imperium is still assailed on its fringes. We need to secure our borders. You need to continue contributing your taxes and working your menial hell lives.
Yeah, it comes down to the idea of a system in motion tends to persist, and without a specific offsetting, inciting incident to make that change, just from a generic standpoint, I don't see why the Imperium would change a lick of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Well, we won't see. I very much doubt they're ever going to do it. Because that would be the end of the universe.
Until a new threat came up. The Emperor, we found his long-lost twin. That was what was creating the warp. I don't know.
This is a question that I've sort of held off answering because I didn't know the character in question. How would things have been different if Lorgar was raised by someone like Uriah? Who's Uriah, Ram?
Must be honest, if Lorgar was raised by anyone else other than Corferon,
because Corferon was the worst.
He'd be a lot more psychologically stable, considering that, Corferon repeatedly, berated and beat the shit out of Lorgar when he was a kid. So obviously that leaves a mark on, a kid when they're growing up, even if that kid does grow up to be, a super-powered demigod. Considering, there was one instant oh, Daddy, look, I can read this book. No! Basically. It's just... If anyone else raised Lorgar would probably be a lot more chill and probably wouldn't be as prone to, religious extremism or just zealotry in general.
Yeah, I mean, he'd still probably have found religion. It was Colchis after all.
Oh yeah, but he wouldn't have been turned into a full-blown zealot.
No.
I feel. Because I feel like, the embrace of religion was basically like partly forced upon him by Corferon, who was, an exiled priest, and also, in a way, a kind of a coping mechanism as well for all the abuse he was suffering.
Yeah, so
it's like a double-edged sword.
So who was Uriah, just for the benefit of me and the viewers? Who was Uriah?
If I recall correctly, the Uriah they're referring to is the guy from the Last Church.
Oh, that guy. Right.
I think so, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Could Call solve the Grey Knight Primaris problem by simply giving them the means to cross the Rubicon? Instead of making new ones?
Well, I say this, before the Exorcists got retconned into being not Grey Knight successors, they already could have Primaris.
Yes, and that's precisely the reason they were retconned, I suspect. So what was the other part of the question I think you cut out? So could Call solve the Grey Knight Primaris problem instead of trying to make new ones and potentially corrupting the Grey Knight process? Give them essentially the Rubicon and say, you make your Grey Knights, make them your way, here's the upgrade.
I mean, I don't see why not, considering, when you got chapters who remained unaware of their lineages are also able to do that by just basically giving the tech to make their own Primaris, because with the Kakarodons, for example, officially, no one knows who their primary genitor is, even though there is a strong case towards, Korax. But, Robin McNiven actually posted on his Facebook, like years ago, in regards to this, when Primaris were first introduced, the Kakarodons got given the tech to make their own. They didn't get given any Gracias, they just got given the tech to make their own. So, I can imagine the Grey Knights was just being given the tech to make their own. It's like, hey, go make your own. And the Grey Knights are probably just like, now we don't trust it.
Yeah, I think the only risk is, given the amount of work it takes to make a Grey Knight, the Rubicon still doesn't have a 100% pass rate in terms of survival. It's a lot higher than it used to be when Calgar and stuff did it. But it's still not any higher than probably 3/4, I would expect.
Yeah, because wasn't there also anything like only 96% of all Space Marine chapters accepted Primaris, and the other 4% don't have them still?
Yeah, that too. And my point is that if the Grey Knights take so long to make Grey Knights, can they afford to lose 1/4 of the recruits they make to the Rubicon? Probably can they afford to work, even with the Primaris upgrade, can they afford to work at 3/4 recruitment rate for long? Probably not.
No.
Okay, so this is more of a cynical question. Well, this is the commenter saying it's quite a cynicism question. But how long do you reckon it will be before Trazine's museum is just simply full of characters GW is too scared to kill off?
I can imagine that happening.
Yeah, it is definitely snarky, but it's probably also, given Asaka Creed and stuff is in there, it's probably scarily accurate as well that Trazin just becomes the retcon collector.
Yeah.
I saw one and I lost it. Hang on. Okay. So, Perturabo ordered decimation against the veteran Iron Warriors who wanted his respect and approval. Or something to that effect, anyway. He definitely did do decimation against the Iron Warriors. Right?
Did he? I know Angron did decimation for his legion, but I don't recall Perturabo doing it.
I feel like it was the first thing he did when he took them over.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I'd have to...
I need to double check, because the only one I know I remember off the top of my head is when Angron did it. Because anytime the World Eaters failed to conquer a planet within a certain time frame, he would basically decimate them.
Yeah, I'm just looking back.
Sorry, classify. He would, historical definition, decimate them.
Here we go. Yeah, so when he reviewed the reports of the 4th Legion, Perturabo was unimpressed and decimated them.
Okay.
So anyway, comment continues. How would Perturabo have reacted if the Emperor ordered decimation of the Primarchs and he just got the short straw? ironically, the Emperor basically did do this with 2 and 11, but given he did it to his legion, would Perturabo be in a position to complain if he drew the short straw and it was done to him?
Well, if he did, it'd be a fucking hypocrite.
I mean, it's Perturabo, but...
There you go, that's your answer.
Yeah, I know Perturabo's got a bit more of a sympathetic character over recent books, like Siege of Terra Mortis, but still, it's Perturabo. Do you think we'll get similar models to Dexessa and Sinessa for the other Chaos Gods? No, honestly. I don't think we will. I don't think we'll get equivalents to the new... They're not demigods like this comment suggests. I don't think we're going to get like massive Nurgle demons that mirror the twins of the newborn, because that only really, I think, happened... I'd need to read the new lore in Kragnos. I think that only really happened because the newborn is an entirely separate entity of Slaanesh. It's not Slaanesh's creation. Well, it is. It's baby Slaanesh's creation, but it's an entirely independent part from Slaanesh, so it wasn't Slaanesh's idea. So Nurgle and Tzeentch and Khorne can't just go, well, Slaanesh got them, so I should have them too, because Slaanesh can just go, wasn't me, bro. I don't know. I think that actually pretty much covers questions. There weren't that many. There's a couple in here. Like, can switching your face to the Omnissiah save you 15 minutes on your car insurance? It's just like... but, yeah, there's a few questions. But I think we've covered most of probably the ones that are... Oh, actually, there's one here that's just caught my interest. I just missed it. Do you believe that Magnus's current path is very similar to the Emperor's? That he's trying to create a race of advanced psychic humanity, basically just doing what the Emperor was trying to do, like psycher up humanity, but he was doing it through the warp rather than the webway. And even the Emperor apparently notes this. Thing or not thing?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
I mean, it would be a nice parallel that Magnus went out of his way trying to follow his father's path and then turning on his father for being betrayed in some ways and breaking his father's rules, then ends up copying his dad's same mistakes. I quite like that as a narrative thrust.
Making his own mini Nikea, so I forget that.
Yeah, that too.
The Primarchs, all of them fucking hypocrites.
Basically, yes, that's about right.
Oh well.
Yeah, there are a couple more questions, but a lot of them are quite short and one word answer questions. A lot of them. That's not to say that you shouldn't be asking questions, because absolutely, we always try and discuss these things, but there weren't a lot on that last episode. I think probably because I've got comments on held for review, people don't always realise that they can comment, and so they don't always leave as many on my episodes as yours. And I get less views because I'm a smaller channel, but who's counting? But yes, that kind of covers questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to answer in the next episode based on what you've heard today or in general, then do let us know in the comments with the word question, and we will do our best to answer them next episode.
Sweet.
Indeed. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add? Considering coming up on time, I believe, as well, aren't we?
1:52:53, yeah.
Okay.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on and chatting about, well, mostly the model line, I guess, and then, a little bit of movie stuff and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's been good to get...
Fucking plot armor.
But it's been good to get your thoughts on Warhammer Fest as well, because, well, obviously, Remleiz, you were here last time, and always get to get a good different take as well from you as well, Miranda. So thank you very much for joining us as well. It's been a pleasure having you back on the show. And we'll try and pencil in for the 20-whatever of May next year, so we can just keep the streak going.
That's right. Although I want to know if my prediction in a month is right on Warhammer Plus.
True.
I'm sure to keep you updated.
Actually, to be honest, if we do it another year to the episode, then that will be 149. You'd be the last guest before 150 if we did that.
All
by
right.
my count.
We'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out.
So, until next time, thank you everyone for joining us this episode of Adeptus Podcastus. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. And thank you very much to Miranda for joining us this episode.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
And this is Miranda from WarGamerGirl.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.